I'm 28. I was just diagnosed with ADHD, and here are some signs that I had it growing up that I did not know were symptoms. The first is being extremely messy and disorganized in my personal life, but appearing really put together in my public life. A big reason for this, I believe, is because I lose things a lot, and I often end up tearing up my entire space just looking for something. I also have what's called executive dysfunction, which means that sometimes, no matter how much I may want to, it's just really hard for me to get up and complete things. Another aspect about ADHD is that self-motivation is practically non-existent, and I'm very much motivated by external validation and external pressure. So I'll often try to be perfect very publicly, and because my brain is overcompensating and trying to meet my standards, I end up just being exhausted, burned out, and overwhelmed. Trying to be perfect in the ways that are visible usually come at the expense of everything else in my life. Which brings me to my next point, is that I usually am either hyperfixating or not paying attention at all. ADHD brains are often motivated by novelty, reward, or external pressures. So if I'm really interested in something, I can hyperfixate for hours. But I'll also neglect things like eating or sleeping or taking breaks. For example, when I'm writing something and I'm really interested in it, I will write for 7 hours straight. And since I'm planning my wedding, recently when I was looking for a photographer, I stayed up from 8 p.m. one night until like 5 a.m. the next morning trying to look for a photographer. ADHDers are often some of the biggest procrastinators. So I will procrastinate until the deadline starts looming, and then I will hyperfixate and not focus on anything else until it's done. I think the reason why this didn't feel like a problem is because, generally speaking, I have been pretty successful. I have my bachelor's and master's degree. I'm an adjunct college professor. I have my own business as a content creator. So to a lot of people, it probably looks like I'm thriving. But I actually had a hard time paying attention in school, and I get extremely overwhelmed trying to keep my life in order. Which brings me to my last one for this video, and it's rejection sensitivity dysphoria. This is actually not like a scientifically credited idea, but a lot of people with ADHD report taking things way harder than necessary, feeling like we're always doing everything wrong, and also feeling like everyone hates us. And I think part of that is because we can have low self-worth thinking about all the things that we feel like we're failing at. As a result, everyone around me knows that I'm extremely hard on myself. And going back to the external validation, I feel a lot of pressure to be perfect. I think for the longest time, I just thought that I was a type B person. I never thought that I had ADHD or that something was wrong, mostly because I seemed to be successful in the eyes of others. I also think that there is a stigma around ADHD. People think that it's not real or that it's overdiagnosed. But I think the reason that a lot of people feel that way is because a lot of the symptoms of ADHD mimic just normal human feelings. But ADHD, I've learned, is not the outward facing symptoms themselves, but the things that happen on the back end of your brain, such as the inability to regulate itself, cause us to experience these things, such as constantly losing things, being really hard on ourselves, having a hard time doing things, so much so that it makes your life more chaotic, more than it does for others.